Hello, everyone. This is Marianne with the Sustainable Living Podcast. How are you guys doing today? Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're going to spend the next half an hour or so with us here. It's a shorter show today. Later, I will have an interview with Steve Cornett and myself. But first, I want to tell you about something I am super excited about. Many of you know that we have a Patreon page, and you also know that we haven't really done much with it, that the video is still really old, and it's really my fault because I just am not a good video editor, and I have these ideas what I want things to look like, and I always fall short of that. But I'm going to get there for sure. But here's the thing. Patreon has a new function now where you can do stories, like live little snippets of video, and I totally can do that. So I started to share with you all my day. So stories only stay up for 24 hours, then they're gone. So if you haven't seen them, but it's good because the pressure is not there. So if some doesn't look so good, it's not going to be there forever and ever and ever. A lot of those stories I'm making private, so only our patrons can see it because their support is so immensely important to us and we appreciate it so much that we really want to give something which is just for the people which are supporting us. A little token of gratitude. Let me tell you who our patrons are. And guys, we love you and thank you for all you do. Karen Johnston, Lisa Davis, Erickson Diaz, Jennifer Telford, Tatiana Sinteskaya, Sustainable Human, Kristen, Jack Wolfman, Heinrich Hörnlein-Rummel, Ben Kotnick, Pari, Jenki, Onika Miyashiro, Heidi Hörnlein. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much your support means. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, it's very easy. It starts with as little as $1 a month. Of course, we appreciate if you can give us more, but hey, we we love your support no matter what you can do. And you just go to patreon.com, Sustainable Living Podcast. And if you're on our website, a link to it is all over the place. And you join us there. Without further ado, I'm going to give you our interview. And I have a little more news for you at the very end. Hope you listen all the way through.
What's going on?
Hi, Stephen.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. So for those of you who don't know Stephen yet, we had a show before where we talked about the urban farm he is creating here in San Diego County. And today we want to, well, first of all, I want to tell you the good news that I twisted his arm. That he's going to be a regular contributor to our podcast. So I expect to hear from him maybe once a month for a few 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that to keep us updated on the farm.
Yeah,
And
excited to share more with you guys.
yeah. And so today we're going to go a little bit more into a longer update to see what you have been up to since the last time we spoke.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, lots of different updates about like kind of techniques that I'm doing now, things I've gotten better at doing, like composting and my teas. Looking forward into the future, new land is in my sights, and yeah. So I guess I'll start. Like recently, I've been really geeking out on Elaine Ingham and all the soil food web people. I've been listening to dozens of hours of lectures and trying to consume as much as I can. And I even got a microscope recently.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I went to this. I don't know if you're familiar with Food to Soil. They're a local composting
Yep.
hub and teaching thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, they had a little talk, and it was done by Richard Williamson. I'm forgetting his last name, but he was really great. And it was a live microscope demonstration and talk about microbiology and learning about nematodes, arthropods, protozoa, amoebas, all these different things, and a little bit about how to identify them. And yeah, it was just fascinating. And I ended up becoming friends with him. And so I invited him over to the urban farm because he's into permaculture and all this stuff. So we hung out for a few hours. We used the microscopes. He showed me how to use it. It was an amazing hands-on lesson from him. I'm really thankful to him for showing me. So now I am regularly looking at my compost and my compost and worm teas that I'm making.
That's so cool. Elaine was teaching a workshop here in San Diego, like way back when she kind of started to bring this out to the public. She was at the first Permaculture Voices conference.
Listened to that a few times.
Yeah, so I was in the room.
Oh, wow.
I listened to her then.
Amazing.
And I mean, she is just so amazing and she knows so much. I really wanted to go, but at the time that was out of my price range because
Pricey.
Yeah. I mean, for what she has to offer, it's not said much, but if you don't have $1,000, you don't have $1,000, So yeah, but quite a few people went, and she does teach the course online as well,
Right.
but it's also right around that price range. So good on you that you were able to find someone
Yes.
to show you.
Show me the basics, and
Yeah.
someday I'd love to take her course, but for now I know enough to kind of I can identify the fungi and the basics, and I can tell if it's anaerobic or not, and that's
Right.
that's the most important thing.
Oh,
Yes.
would you tell us really quick why it's important to?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is so fascinating about this whole life under the soil is that essentially all the nutrients that we need are already in the sand, silt, and clay. All the minerals, the nitrogen, all of these things already exist, but our plants can't take them up yet because they have to be broken down by the biology in the soil. So, if you think about the circle of life or whatever, the smallest things get eaten by the bigger things, and the bigger and the bigger and the bigger in the soil. It's a whole universe. And the plants are actually orchestrators of this entire universe. They're I see them as, like kind of the controllers of trees and plants, or what are controlling that biology and influencing it in an extreme way. And what they produce is these sugars or carbohydrates called exudates, and they exude them from their plant roots, which feeds fungi, bacteria, which in turn returns the plant with specific nutrients that it's asking for. So it wants more phosphorus. It'll put out the root exudate to attract a fungus or bacteria, whatever is going to break that down, and return with that, and it rewards it with food. So that's it's kind of like a basic explanation of what's going on under the soil. And so ultimately, as sustainable or not sustainable, but regenerative farmers, we want to highly focus on the health of the soil. And I even tell my customers sometimes, I'm not a vegetable farmer, I'm a soil farmer. And I would argue the reason that my farm is so healthy, I to this day have used 0 pesticides, not even soap. I have only added compost to my farm, and I don't have pest problems. I have incredible yields, and the colors of my vegetables indicate that the nutrient and the taste indicate that the nutrient quality is high. I've proven these things to myself through experience and through doing them. But now it's so cool to finally understand sort of at a deeper level really what's going on, and that there's actually scientific evidence proving all these things that we can observe in nature. We have evidence, and we can say, hey guys, like organic and regenerative farming, it really is better. Here's the actual results.
Yeah, that's cool. And just so you all know, there are people out there which are really hating on Elaine,
yes,
and have their own little scientific counter argument. But basically, you're saying you're proving it by doing it. But would you tell us why you don't want to have your teas or your compost to be anaerobic?
Yeah, so anaerobic means that it's without oxygen, and aerobic means it is with oxygen. And anaerobic bacteria are the dangerous ones. They're the ones that are harmful to us. So like E. coli is anaerobic. listeria, all these things are anaerobic, and they exist in wet, soggy, cold environments. So, and when you're making your tea, it's incredibly important that you're aerating it really heavily. I guess I'll talk about some of the upgrades I did to my tea making system.
Yeah.
I'm still not at a professional level. Like, to me, a professional level would be that you're using all stainless, like a stainless steel tank with legit pumps that aerate. I'm just using a 20-gallon trash can, some fish stones that aerate a fish pond. I've got 3 large ones going. What I use is pantyhose as my tea bag. I've used burlap, but the holes in that are a little big, so it kind of releases too much dirt, which gets clogged in my sprayer. So pantyhose have been amazing. So when I originally started making tea, I had the tea bag on the bottom of the trash can, which is a big no-no because the oxygen can't really get to the bottom of that barrel. So the bottom was actually becoming slightly anaerobic, and I could actually smell it in the tea a little bit. I could smell a little bit of manure-ish smell or decay smell. Now I have the tea bag elevated. I hang it just as if when you hang a tea bag in a teacup. Now the air can completely surround the entire bag, and that's made a big difference, as well as adding more aeration. Now my tea is smelling completely neutral, just almost like a woody type smell, which is what you're looking for. Another addition that I've done is starting to make, I still don't know if I'm doing it correctly, but making humic acid. And that's something that Elaine talked about, was just running water over compost and just passively. You don't massage the bag or anything, and the water drains through, and the water that comes out the other side is supposedly rich in humic acids. And then I dump that into the mixture. And I've been doing that because humic acids are a big fungal food. So I want to increase the fungal activity in my soil, because typically most soil is more bacterial dominated. Fields are bacterial dominated, and forests are fungal dominated.
But don't you need a more bacterial dominated soil for veggies?
Yes, it's true. I think somewhere in the middle is probably like the happy medium for veggies, because it's also tricky too, because if you look at the succession of plants, brassicas are at the lower end, and I think that I think brassicas want more bacteria, I think. But then you get to the upper order veggies, and they will want more, just bacteria is fine for them. So like lettuce more fungal is okay for them. So lettuce can handle a bit more. Weeds germinate in bacterial dominated soil as well. So the argument has been made that if your soil is a bit more balanced, has more fungally balanced, then your weed pressure would even go down as well.
That's interesting.
I have yet to confirm if that's true or not, but
What's a good theory?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I like that idea of the succession of plants, going from bare dirt to just your weeds or whatever, and then to all the way up to the old growth forest. It's just a fascinating concept.
Absolutely. Okay, so your compost tea making process has been improved. Last time when we talked, you were going to do black soldier flies.
Yes.
Did you get that started?
So it's on its way. I see them every day in that box. I open the box, and there's a soldier fly hanging out on the side of the box. But I'm digging around. I still don't see any larvae. So I don't know if they're laying eggs in there yet or what. So we're getting kind of closer. We're getting into June, and the summer is going to heat up eventually. So I think that I will purchase like 5,000 larvae pretty soon, and then just make it happen.
So right now you just put out a box and waited for like nature to provide you?
Yeah. So I threw tons, rotten avocados and fish, a little bit of old fish and meat and things like that. And that it's attracted houseflies, fruit flies, and some soldier fly, but I haven't seen the larva yet. So I've been waiting a couple months. It's not happening. So last year I continued to wait, and they never did it.
Okay. So it's better to order.
So I think, yeah, at least for me, I know other people in San Diego have been successful, and there's a couple people I'm talking to online. I love that raise soldier fly and know a heck of a lot more about them than me. So I want to go visit them at some point.
So that's going to be an update.
Yeah.
We are going to hear from you
definitely.
when you go and visit them. We definitely want to hear that.
Yeah, it's still a nut I'm trying to crack. So
yeah, definitely need to do a little videos and
absolutely, yeah.
just what it looks like. So what else is new?
So what else? This is just a little fun thing, but I've got a couple of my buddies have been helping me out a ton, and really helped me out because they're the people that are interested in learning to farm and garden, and they've helped me catch up so much on all my work that we actually were able to kind of go into the neighbor's yard a little bit with all my extra summer plants. So we built just a really cheap bamboo trellis because I had a bunch of bamboo. We used trellis netting, and we did cucumbers, tomatoes, watermelons, pumpkins, butternut squash, a bunch of different flowers, comfrey, alyssum, yarrow.
Cool.
And we just decked out the neighbor's yard with all this stuff.
Nice.
So I'm excited.
So is that the neighbor who originally said no to?
It's the opposite neighbor that has all the cars and the junk in their backyard.
Okay, so that makes it much prettier
Yes.
having
I'm beautifying it now. So.
beautiful. Yeah, good. So how is your search going for more land?
It's I haven't talked to anyone yet. I've had a few people offer me places, but they've been too far away, or the land wasn't very ideal, like there's too much slope. So I'm actually going to approach the people that you recommended to me.
Oh, cool.
Just, a couple houses down from you.
Right.
And I went over there with my friends, and we looked at the lot again, and it's excellent. Like, we were just imagining, how many beds you could put in there, and what would be possible. There's a lot of cool stuff already in there, actually, ready to go. Lots of fences that I could put grapes and dragon fruit and passion fruit on, and fingers crossed, I'm gonna go over there and talk to them. But the ideal for me is kind of to have another lot that's within a half mile. That would be really ideal if it's within a half mile of my current location.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going for. We'll see if I can find it, and if I can get people to agree to a free lease, because that is my ultimate goal, is to not pay a thing and to increase the property value on their land greatly, provide them food, and hopefully that's an incentive enough for people to let me do it. I'm hopeful that I'll find the right landowner.
You would pay for the water.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pay for everything I do there is paid for by me. Any additions,
That's very cool. I mean, to me, that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I hope that you have a lot of luck with that. How are your farmers markets going?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So recently, the La Mesa Farmers Market moved, and they moved it into the La Mesa Boulevard, which is the main strip, and it's kind of set up, where they shut down the main street. And all the vendors are in the street, and people walk through the middle of the street and shop. So that's kind of like the standard way it's done in San Diego at the bigger markets. So the city of La Mesa and the La Mesa Association, they're trying to bring in more business to that area, and so that's why they decided to move the market. And I will say that it has been very successful. I was worried because when you move markets, it's difficult. Like, a lot of customers will leave or not know that it moved, but they did a good job, I think, of advertising.
So just for people which don't live in this general area, La Mesa is a small city which is basically grown together with San Diego, but it has a distinct city center where you have, restaurants and all kinds of stuff along this one main street. And there have been fairs on a regular basis there. They have like Oktoberfest and, all different things. So it's already set up in a way that it's easy to close. And they now decided to have the farmers markets there by closing down the whole street. And it really isn't that far away from the other locations. So I it's not like if you move it to a completely different part where people have to drive 15 minutes now to get there. If you go to the original spot, you can easily walk to the new spot.
Yeah, that's what's nice about it.
And it's much bigger now. So
the opening day, there were thousands of people. I was blown away. Yeah. People came out, like all the farmers. I sold out all of my stuff in 2 hours, and usually it takes me the whole day to sell everything out. And most of the farmers sold out, so it was a good day for.
That's very good. So were there a lot of farmers there?
Yeah. How many do we have? Like 10, something around that number, I think.
There are a lot of farmers markets where there's actually no farmers.
Right.
There's a lot of prepared food and
they're not real farmers markets in my opinion.
Yeah, but not much, real just food from the farm to buy.
Mhm.
So that's cool. So that one is Friday afternoon.
Yes.
Are you still doing your Saturday one
No,
too?
I'm just doing that one because I'm able to get such big sales numbers there that I can all of the stuff that I'm growing is just going to that market now. We're not doing a restaurant anymore.
Oh, that was my next question. Are
We
you still doing
Yeah, we
restaurants?
were just doing a kind of a kale mix for in Contro and North Park, and it was really great. As it gets hotter, it gets harder to keep producing that, and we learned a lot from that process. And now when we approach restaurants for the next time, I feel like we've got a better idea of the logistics of it all. We would want a specific delivery day with the restaurants and making it a little bit more easier on us, the farmer. But it was a great experience, and it was great working with them. Yeah, and now I'm ready. Like once we get more land here, I will definitely be approaching a lot more restaurants. But
Right.
as of right now, I can sell everything, so it's not
Yeah,
worth.
you don't need to. Yeah, absolutely. Were you going to go into microgreens or did you? And are
That's
you?
Yes, I am. I've really only done like a couple trays, and I haven't gotten into it yet. I've just been so busy with everything else. I finally have caught up on everything, so now it's time to really experiment with that because that's another giant revenue generator that doesn't take that much time, and as long as you can sell it, it's pretty profitable. So and delicious.
Yeah, I think that's always a caveat. You have to be able to sell it and find your customers. I so can relate to you to, getting caught up. I wished I had a few
Yeah,
friends who want to come over and just do some muscle work.
it's
But it's all good. It's all good. I'm not, trying to sell my stuff, so it's not as high priority as if that is your livelihood. So I wanted to dig a little bit deeper in what I'm hearing you say is that you finally got caught up and so forth and so forth. So you're still working a lot, huh?
Yeah, but another thing of it is that I'm doing other things. Like one of my other farmer friends, he works for Urban Life Farms here in San Diego, which is it's a nonprofit farm. He hired me to build a salad spinner for him, and I build salad spinners out of washing machines. And it's something that Curtis Stone uses, or John Martine, Michael Kilpatrick is the guy who came up with the idea, and yeah, it's amazing. Like for very cheap, you can build a salad spinner. And I actually have two different videos on how to make them that I'll be putting out relatively soon. So I'm working on that. I've been helping some other people with other things as well. So get my hands everywhere.
You're not just busy on the farm because you
Yeah,
have other
and my videos.
venues and yeah, your videos and your online presence too, and that takes a lot of time too, for
Yeah,
sure.
figuring out how to juggle it all. That's the trick.
Yeah, I think that's life, like figuring out how we can do it all. So how are your chickens doing?
Oh, awesome. They're laying great. Right now I've got three broody girls right now though, and they just
Oh, do you want any eggs?
um
I have
I've
fertile
oh
eggs.
really? Well, uh, I can't, let's just say I'm at my maximum amount of chickens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they stop producing after a while, as the
Yeah,
production goes down.
yeah.
I have one sitting, she's broody, and I keep taking the eggs away and trying to take her off because I can't handle any more chickens
Yeah.
either. And one escaped me. I didn't realize she was out, so she came with one baby
Oh
chick.
my God.
And I noticed that I was doing yoga on my back porch there, and I see my dog getting excited about some, and then she has some in her mouth and takes it
Oh,
down, and it's like, oh my God, it's a little chicken.
that's funny.
So I
Can't stop
rescued
life.
it. But it's
Nice.
like even so the mom takes care of the chicken, it's like an extra responsibility because now
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
worried,
Yes.
do they have water the little one can get?
Hmm.
Is that,
Hmm.
is there were crows out there, they were stealing my eggs for a little while. They were going
Oh,
right
wow.
into the coop, taking the eggs.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I
Uh-oh.
kept going, are they after say little chick? It just, you start to feel responsibility for those beings.
Of
Now
course.
it's here. I don't want it to die an untimely death. So I totally get it that you're maxed out on chickens. Even so, babies are so cute. They are so
Yeah.
cute.
Oh, someday I'll have that. Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on the farm these days, and Just been continuing on my propagations and all the stuff I got from the rare fruit growers recently, or a few months ago. I've got all that in pots now, all the cool grapes and dragon fruit and trees. I grafted a few trees.
Nice. So definitely up-leveling your
yeah.
skills.
Yes, yeah, I'm practicing that every season.
Cool. So I'm really looking forward to get like your mini reports on, okay, I'm over here looking at so black soldier flies. I'm going to do this or that. That's going to be very cool.
Yeah. Maybe I'll cover like a different topic each time or something.
That sounds fantastic to me.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, it was great talking with you.
Same here.
Always.
As we said in the beginning of the show, Steve is going to be back with regular updates from his urban farm. I'm sure there are some of you out there which are using that idea of making money off your yard, be it your backyard, your front yard, or your neighbor's yard, as an urban farmer. This idea is much more popular now, and it's definitely a way to create a living for yourself. So Steve is going to share his insights, his trials and tribulations, and hopefully it will be of help to some of you. And personally, I think even like somebody like me, who I consider myself more of an urban homesteader or maybe a crazy gardener. So a lot of the projects really do apply to us too. Not so much where to sell and all of that, but figuring out better methods, I think, is of benefit to us all. So Steve is going to be back with short segments in future podcasts. Now, I told you I had a surprise for you if you are listening to the end of it. And let me tell you what it is. I have told you before about this platform called Steemit, where by posting you can earn cryptocurrency. And I have been quite active there. One of the activities I've been doing is called the Daily Prompt 5-Minute Free Write. So if you're not a writer, I don't know if I want to totally get into the explanation right now, but it's basically a writing exercise where you write without thinking too much. You just allow things to flow, whatever comes into your mind, listening to a certain prompt. And one of the stories which came through from one person, I find he's an amazing writer. He considers himself a poet, and he started to write more prose with us with a daily prompt. And I just really love his writing. And one of the stories I felt was so significant for what we're doing here in our podcast that I asked him if I could read it to you. So now stay tuned for the story. Poison by Bennett Italia. I'd grown accustomed to pain. It was just part of life. Not that the agony of it ever actually abated, but as time went on, it became, less of a shock, almost like background noise. But not the innocuous kind of background noise. Not the kind you could ever really live with. No. This was a kind that could subtly, relentlessly drive you crazy, without your ever catching on. I mean, really crazy. A danger to oneself and others crazy. It would have been a good life, except for the poison. I'd taken root not far from the bank of a tiny creek. Little more than a trickle, but still. A good place for an oak tree. Plenty to drink all year round, if my roots could reach it. And they did eventually. Once I'd fanned out far enough, I was expecting clear, clean water, or at least something decent enough to not really hurt me, as I'd found everywhere else my roots had gone. But when I touched the water around the creek, it hurt. Bad. Whatever was in it, when I pulled it up into me, into my roots, trunk, branches, leaves, it tasted like death. It felt like death. I suspected the building just upstream from me, the one with no windows. I thought The bad stuff must be coming from there. If only I could go there, tell them what was happening, make it stop. Now that I had touched the stuff, I could feel its effect on everything else that came into contact with it. Small animals, grasses, wildflowers, willows, rushes. There were no fish in that water, not even insects. I bore the pain as best I could. I breathed in, out, day, night, day again. The seasons turned, and with each passing year I grew. And I grew strange. In winter, of course, the pain was less. Trees don't drink so much in winter, but the poison that was already inside of me was there always, a demon to be wrestled during the long, slow, cold months, a suffocating, malevolent presence, busily crafting nightmares out of dreams. Each winter was worse than the last, but I bore it. I out-wrestled the demon, or at least outlasted it every time. It was all I could do. And each spring I woke to fresh pains, the sharp sting of awareness, the cleansing of old nightmares by a flood of new ones. But the demon was tireless. And finally the winter came, when it got the better of me. I couldn't help but notice the sensation as soon as it started. This was new, different, a gathering of pain, a concentration, all in one place. Instead of being diffused, the hurt began to coalesce into a ball, a knot. Not at the center of me, but close to the periphery, close to the bark. I could feel it coursing from every direction toward this one place, which grew steadily larger, more defined. And then it began to beat. And its beating sent pain out again in all directions, but not all the way to the edges of me, no. The shape of the pain was no longer that of a tree. It was the shape of a man. And when spring came... This was written in 2018 by Bennett Italia. All rights belong to him. He gave us permission to read it for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And remember to check us out on Patreon. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye for now.